welcome to The Little Blue Pot. It's Jem here. Thank you for joining me, YouTube. I hope you are well, and thank you for clicking on trauma and mental illness. Today's information is taken from the Mental Health Foundation, and I'm going to be talking about mental illness and trauma. But why am I talking about this? Well, I myself have experienced a variety of traumas throughout my life, and I think these have something to do with the fact that I have developed mental illness. They are not the main cause, they are not the one and only reason. Mental illness isn't just caused by one thing. It is a mixture of genetics, the brain, and our environment. So if we have trauma, this can have an impact on us physically and mentally. Remember, we are all one thing. So what happens to the body, for example, maybe we're in a road traffic accident or something like that, and we may get physical injury, but we have experienced something that's quite scary, quite causes a lot of fear. We may have flashbacks, and we sometimes forget. We deal with maybe the physical injuries of that road traffic accident, but then we don't always deal with the mental issues that it brings. So it could create a lot of anxiety, even PTSD, and even depression. So we need to think about what's happening to us, what happens when we go through life. Perhaps if we experienced abuse as a child and then we were bullied at school, then we lose someone perhaps when we're as young adults, and then we go on to maybe get involved in accident, or even if we are in the military and go through kind of wars or conflicts. All of those things can compound to make it possible for us to develop mental health problems. Not everyone, again, I'm not trying to say that everyone will develop mental illness because of a trauma. We're all different, okay? We're all individual. But for me, I know that is part of the reason why I have developed mental illness, especially BPD. But not everyone will develop BPD, but it's a form of complex PTSD, which is caused by things that have happened in the past that you relive in the future. So around 1 in 3 adults in England have reported at least one traumatic event in their lifetime. So that's 1 in 3, and that's at least one. So as I said before, it could be many. Someone may go through life and have many traumatic events and be fine. Someone may have just one, and it kind of take over their lives and help them and make them develop mental illness. We're all different, but 1 in 3 adults in England, at least one traumatic event. So what is a traumatic event? Well, traumatic events can be defined as experiences that put either a person or someone close to you at risk of serious harm or death. So you feel that you're at risk of harm or death. Things like this I've already said, but road traffic accidents, violence, prolonged abuse, natural disasters, serious illness. But I'd also include things like bullying, domestic violence, domestic abuse, war and conflicts, rape and bereavement. But maybe, can you think of others? Can you think of any traumas that you have been through? And apologies if this video is triggering at all. So what happens when you go through a traumatic event? Well, we've talked about in my stress videos, my anxiety videos, and my anxiety and the brain video, that when you go into that trauma, your body goes into a defense mode, the fight or flight, or freeze, as some people may say as well. And so when it goes into this defense, it activates the stress response. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but this stress response is sort of from our evolutionary path, that we needed this to protect ourselves if there was something coming. So to either fight it or to be able to run away, to get away from it, have the strength, have the capacity to take on that fight, or to be able to run away to safety. So the fight or flight response produces chemicals which prepare your body for an emergency, and it can lead to such things as raised blood pressure, sweating, increased heart rate, tense muscles, reduced stomach activity. I've said this before, that when you go into the fight or flight, your digestive system shuts down. It stops working because you don't need it. You don't need that to take on that fear. And if we're put in a traumatic situation, we are going to be experiencing this fear, no matter what level. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone is different. So something that may be really traumatic for someone might not be as traumatic for someone else. It depends on the person, and it depends on the context. But if we are experiencing a trauma, we are going into this fight, flight, or freeze mode, and a long-term exposure to this. So if for example you've sadly experienced abuse and neglect as a child, this is a trauma. This is something that your body has had to learn to cope with, and it constantly stays in that fight or flight. Now, by being in that fight or flight, permanently, this has a long-term impact on the body, long-term impact on the mind. And if you have experienced this, you may get flashbacks, you may have visions, you may have nightmares, you may have certain places you can't go, certain music you can't hear, and all of that kind of trauma builds up and can make you very, very poorly. So if these feelings persist, if this fight or flight persists, it can lead to long-term mental health problems. So PTSD, depression, anxiety, these are things we need to be thinking about. These are things we need to be talking about, raising awareness of. Because if we are not dealing with that trauma, and I'm going to add some information and support in the description for anyone going through any traumas, because it's really important to get that help. If you don't face those fears, face those demons, learn ways to cope with those feelings when they arise, this can really, really have a negative impact on the rest of your life and those around you. It may even mean that you reenact that behaviour if you were abused or neglected as a child, perhaps. I'm using that one because it's a really, really one that I think people don't think of. I don't think they talk about it enough. And if you have gone through that, and you haven't got the help, you could then behave that way to other people, and we don't want that. So we don't want you to be hurting or harming yourself or others. So if you don't seek help, it doesn't go away. As I said before, not everyone will go through this awful experience and then come out. Sorry, not everyone will go through this awful experience and, be completely ill and poorly, but some will. And if you are prone, if you maybe more think you're more prone to kind of, if you've already got mental illness already and you've had those traumas, then maybe go and get help. And if you think, well, I don't need to deal with it, I don't want to, I want to push it away, that in itself is a coping mechanism that doesn't help you, because whenever you relive that experience, have those flashbacks, you're going to be going into that fight or flight. And even if you don't develop mental health problems, you could have other physical problems, such as high blood pressure. You could have problems with your diet. You could have problems gaining weight, losing weight. You could even go on to have problems with your heart, with many problems in your body. And by not dealing with what's going on up here, it's going to have an impact on the rest of the body. So whether you've had one traumatic experience in your life or many, my heart goes out to you. I hope this video makes you sort of think, maybe I do need to go and get help for that. I was in that car accident. I was, in the military, and I saw sorry, I'm trying to think of the word. My comrades, my military friends, my chums, my colleagues. I saw them being killed. I saw children being killed. I witnessed, bombings, mass shootings, people involved in a mass shooting. All of those things. That is going to really. They're not things that we need to see. They're not things that we are built to see, and we need to understand that if we are exposing ourselves to those things, there are many veterans, for example, people in ex-military who have PTSD and they don't even realise they have it. Again, not everyone is the same. We are all individual, but please get some help. Please get some support if you think you need to. Please check out my other trauma videos. I have put a playlist together, which this one will be in, so please check those out if you want to find out more. There'll be more coming as the year progresses. And if you need, excuse me, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the space below. And I think that's it for now. But yeah, take care. Please comment. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And take care of yourself. And make sure that you reach out to someone if you feel that you're not coping with life and life is getting tough, life is getting harder. It could mean that the trauma you've experienced has compounded and has made you, start to feel really, really rubbish, and we don't want that. We want to feel like we're taking care of this and this. So take care, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye now.